we might need two analysts and three this, and I think like the reality is that we'll keep the same team. It's just like uh, an analyst using deep research and AI will be able to do the same job as two, three analysts. So
You are someone who is deeply technical and also a cool inventor from one of my favorite industries, VR AR tech. You're also someone who makes huge impacts by bringing the community together. And now you're a founding partner at Triptyq Capital. Bertrand, welcome to the podcast.
I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
Let's go back to the start of your journey. What was the first time you even heard of venture capital? Was it when you were products director at Cognizance Athletics or when you founded Vervana?
Oh, it was way before that. I was always a big fan of Silicon Valley. My first computer was Apple IIc. Um, I was always fascinated by Intel. Um, One of my favorite movies, Pirates of Silicon Valley, which is like the story of like the feud between Bill Gates and Steve Jobs. No, so in high school, I already knew about VC and who did the first checks, Mark Makula from for Apple, things like that. So I was already pretty much aware of like VC, but I never thought I would become one. It was more like, okay, like this is how you first you need to build, and then there's people who could believe in your vision and fund you.
Yeah, it sounds like you really wanted to kind of go into the business space when you were younger, and you're like, "Oh my gosh, I heard of VC. VC sounds pretty cool." But it's kind of a supporting role to businesses, and that is what something that could help businesses grow and scale and become greater. From that journey of first hearing about venture capital and knowing about it, how long was the journey for you to become a VC, or was it just like a light bulb moment?
I was more an evolution. I would say no, I was a tech entrepreneur for like 12 years and sold my company to Apple. At Apple also, I said, well, I miss being an entrepreneur. So I said, I'll be an intrapreneur. So I convinced my boss that we should start an office in Montreal. So I came back in Montreal and started their office there for R&D. And then started doing angel checks, which I liked because I think the best analogy uh, for VC is like you become like a coach, like you can be a player and gain a lot of experience, a hockey fan. So let's take hockey, you can be on the ice, score goals, win the Stanley Cup and everything. And then at one point you're like, okay, maybe I need to transition to something else. And for me, it was kind of that. I felt like I was getting older. I didn't have the same energy level. So I was like, yeah, maybe like I can coach the younger generation. And I have lots of war stories and near death experience. So I think I can be helpful. And then so I was doing angel investing, mostly in pre-seed, and I was seeing that there was a gap in seed funding in Montreal. And then I got approached to start a VC. So I was like, oh, interesting. Uh, and I knew what I didn't want as a VC because I didn't have a great experience with VC. So I was like, it's easier, uh, when you don't know what you like and do the opposite. So then I said, okay, I don't want to be a generalist fund. I want to be a specialized fund. I want to do less deals per year. So we only do five and go in the trenches with the entrepreneurs to help them. So I told my partners, like, if that's the plan, then I'm in. and that was already what they had in mind. So it was great.
And that's the most exciting part is once you're actually really successful, which you are with Ravana, you got acquired by Apple, and that's freaking amazing. And then afterwards, you already started doing angel checks. So you're like, okay, so I've done that and I've been there. And not only that, but you founded a company and you also started VC in a way where you did angel. So it was like, you know exactly that, yeah, okay, I've done this for a period of time. Like maybe at that time it would have been my interest, but now I know that this is actually for me. Like this role actually suits me pretty darn well when you connect the dots. And you mentioned like when you're younger, you have like way more tenacity to go through like the death valley of like, oh my gosh, is my startup even gonna live till next day? And the greatest thing is that you are a coach for that. So for VCs could be really long hours as well, and you've definitely
Mhm.
tempered the bone of tons and tons of hours of doing your product. So you've understand that hours are like kind of like nothing to me at this point. But VC is not for everyone. Who is it not for?
That's a good question. I think it's not for people who only live in Excel sheets, you know. I think that you can look at KPIs, you can you can try to rationalize a deal, but you need intuition. You need to I've been through the hurdles and the pain and all that to especially at early stage. I think if you're later stage, maybe if you're just in the Excel sheets and doing research and just numbers, I think you can probably be a good VC. But especially at early stage, it's more like reading people. You know, it's a bit like poker. It's a game of probability. Um, so it's like you need to read people well, and then understand the market. Are also that's why I like being a specialized fund because you can really master the market. As you're generalist, it's really hard to know everything. So you need to understand the market, uh, see the friction in that market, how you can reduce it with a product or a technology. Um, See if there's a founder market fit. Why are the founders going that market? And then what else? You need conviction. So sometimes the best deals are pretty expensive. So you're like, oof, that's out of our comfort zone. But then you need good co-investors because the best deals is when there's not only one VC doing the whole round. I think it's when you have like two, three specialized VCs that are complementary in their skill set. And then you need to do your like VC is a contact sport, so you need to meet the other VCs at events. So at GDC, so I met a lot of VC there, just to not even talk deals, just like pick their brains, see what they see in the market, and things like that. Um, Discuss our current portco deals, things like that. And then yeah, find allies. And so so I think it's not for someone who uh, is too introverted. I think you need to be a bit or get out of your comfort zone. But like it's funny because as a founder, you go at trade shows. And sure, you're at your booth, you do your thing, but then the real magic happens at night at the parties. You meet other founders, you need VCs there, and so it's the same thing as a VC. Like sure, during the day you have your meetings and everything, but the real, at least for me, the real value happens out of like the normal hours. It's more like you're drinking a beer with someone else. You're just like having fun, no agenda, and then like that's when interesting conversation happens.
Yeah, and you really, really got to be like a people's person, like Bertrand says, because it VC is all about relationships. It's all about finding the right people, and you never know like which A players are connected to the random person that you're talking to. Like for example, Bertrand in the bar. You're just talking to this random person having a beard, and then you're like, oh my gosh, like who do you know that is interested in this specific industry? And that's the best part because you guys, Triptyq Capital is focused on one specific industry or just really specific niches. So you know, like exactly what to refer people to you for. And that's the greatest thing. My question is, you are a founding partner, so you've done a bunch of hires before. What is like the really main decision, key factors that you have hired past junior roles for?
True story. Like and our when we started our fund, we so I left Apple like in February 1st, 2021, and February 2nd, like we started like working on Triptyq Capital. And then we started writing our thesis. Um, like what do we want to do? Where's the line? So starting a fund is like a startup for sure. A joke I did to my partner was like, oh, because I was a bit burned out at Apple, and I was like, oh, like sure, I gonna help you guys, but I don't want to do the fundraising and like uh, for the first months, I want to like just work half time. Uh, and they said, yeah, yeah, sure. But like when you're an entrepreneur, and you start doing the thing, it's like just on or off. There's no like, it's digital. It's not analog, at least for me. So, um, so after when my energy came back, I went all in. And we thought that we would raise or fund maybe in a year, let's say, or like 9 months. But it took us a year and a half. But there was one Rafael now who's principal on our team, but he came in as a senior associate. Um, he heard to the vines that we were starting a fund and everything, and he just like said, I really like what you guys are doing, and I want to be part of this adventure. So he just like stayed on the sideline, and he was a consultant during that time, did his thing. But we were meeting him every few months, just like to and he was employee number one on day one when we finally closed the fund in uh, July 2022. Um, yeah, a year and a half later, and yeah, so I think like it's all about conviction also. Like if you're convinced and you want to work at a in VC, you need to be passionate. Like do your research. Like if you like medtech, or if you like fun tech like us, or if you like fintech, um, try to find a fund that's in line with your passions, because like you said, it's long hours. When you work with entrepreneurs, they might text you on the weekend, and it's normal. Like there's no like 9 to 5. It's like entrepreneurs are special people. If you're willing to take that much risk, I think there's certain characteristics in entrepreneurs, and you need to support them in their role, and that's not 9 to 5. So that doesn't mean that you cannot have fun while doing it. Like I'm having a lot of fun because it's very creative, and I love working with entrepreneurs. Um, so yeah, I think like it's more like if you want to go in VC, you need to love the startup life because it's a startup on the other side, and you'll travel a lot uh, if because it's a contact sport. So you need to be in the events. You need to, especially like us, it's fun tech. So we go like to Augmented World Expo, Game Developer Conference, GTC, CES, etc. So South by Southwest and all those great shows. So um, so yeah, it's not a stay at home kind of job, but it's really exciting.
Yeah, and the craziest part is like right after you left Apple and you're like, "Hey, let's start a fund." You're like, "Okay, let's chill back a bit. VC is probably a lot easier." But then after like a month, you're just like, "Wait, this is kind of my lifestyle. Like I do it naturally anyways. I connect with people naturally and this is my technical expertise and I feel good mentoring, these founders." So you're like, "Okay, it might not be that 9 to 5 or that really chill life that I expected, but it's actually making a huge impact. And I'm a natural at doing, which you definitely are. Like, dude, you are so freaking good at mentoring founders, finding the really expertise because you've been there. That's the thing. Like, you're a founder who's been there. You've done the angle check.
And I think I have the credibility too. Like it's even repeat
Yeah,
founders.
yeah.
I have repeat founders in a portco, and they're even older than me, but they listen because like they also value my expertise. So it's not just like, oh, I'll tell you what to do. It's more like we have an exchange. I'm not always right, and it's more the process, the bouncing ideas and looking at a problem from all the perspective. I think as a VC, you also have the advantage of seeing so much deal flow, so you can see patterns and you can have a macro view. As a founders, you're focused on your startup, so sometimes you don't have time to see the whole picture. So that's kind of the different viewpoint that I bring.
And on this topic, let's go to the founder side. What is the top three things that you look for when you're selecting founders to invest in?
First and foremost is why you want to tackle this problem. If it's because it's a huge money opportunity, I know it won't be enough. Like it needs to be like something you're obsessed about. Like, "Ah, this has been irritating me for so long. Uh, I want to fix this for the world, like something that's painful to you, but that's valued to the many. So I think that's the first thing I see is why are you excited? Because I've seen some founders like when VR was interesting, they they started the ad business in VR because they said, "Oh, Google made so much money with ads. I'll start an ad business in VR." And then when it didn't work, they went in crypto. And then after that, they'll go in AI. They just follow the trends. But sometimes you need to be before the trends. So I think that the best founders is like they work on something early. They see they're visionary. They see it's gonna explode. They don't know exactly the timing, um, and then they work on it. They're frugal also, and as soon as like things starts to bubble up, they'll get seed funding, and then when it explode, they'll get their Series A, B, and C. Uh, I think that's when you get the best companies. Um, if when it explodes you raise your seed, I think you're already late to the game. Um, so to go back to your three things, I would say like, why are you starting this startup? Um, do you have co-founders? Because it's quite a journey to start companies. So if you're alone, it's going to be really hard. Um, and then, are you coachable? I think that's really important because my time is precious. And I think that I need to feel that we're in this together. If you're, if I'm just a checkbook for you, then it doesn't interest me.
That's why it's so important because when you're investing in someone, you're not only investing the money in Triptyq capital, you're also investing like your time. And with
Uh-huh.
someone like yourself who is so deeply technical, it's like you kind of know, generally at least, like exactly what the entrepreneurs are working on, so you really do have this massive overview of what it's like. And choosing a co-founder for the entrepreneurs is one of the most important things, because you have to have that accountability, you have to have that different bouncing of perspectives like you said, and you have to have someone who has the same vision. And obviously you might be really good at something, but your co-founder should be really good at that other thing. It could be business or technical. So in this, when you're meeting with entrepreneurs, since you're so deeply technical, do you like even get surprised anymore on the industries that you guys focus in investing?
Oh yeah, all the time. That's what I like. I'm super curious person, even though we're in fun tech. I'm on a board of the Quantum Zone in Sherbrooke because I think like quantum computers are amazing for solving super hard problems. So I feel privileged to be on the board of that group. Um, and I also have other interests like in AI. Like AI is pretty much everywhere, uh, and it's changing so fast. So like, I think the last time I coded was like at Apple in 2018 or 19, and then I kind of stopped. But now like with Cursor and Claude, and like I just saw like there's a new model called like deep coder that like in Berkeley they distill DeepSeek and fine tune it with code, to make it a better coder. So I'm always experimenting things. So that also, because I'm like the geek in chief at Apple, at Triptyq. Um, so I need, like, I'm the first line of defense uh, about bullshit, because because if you're not technical enough, I think you could see, oh, it's a great business opportunity, but then you need to see, is there a technical moat? Because I think now, like more and more, especially with vibe coding, SaaS will be very hard to defend, and it's going to be more like deep tech. So like a technical moat is really important. Um, so really to try like, are you just a wrapper around like ChatGPT, or you really have like an internal either process or like a secret sauce, where sure you can change model because they change all the time, but the value is on top and it's hard to replicate. So yeah, I think that's the things that keep me very busy. Like I joke that I don't have time to watch much series anymore because at night I'm just on X trying just to keep up with what's happening. Because like during the day, usually I'm booked pretty back to back. And like at night, I just like, okay, is there, what's the new model? What's the new thing? Um, and pretty much all of it happened on X. So I spend most of my time there. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's trying to find balance in the force.
Yeah, it really sounds like you are, the first line of defense to all the target ideas. Anything that, within the industries that you guys are investing in, all the ideas that are so common, but yet like you really wouldn't know unless you keep up with the industry. And the crazy thing is that, the startups and VC industry is just evolving way, way too fast. Like last year, or a few years back, you wouldn't have imagined that any startup could go from zero to 100 million ARR in like 1 year. Like that's just so freaking crazy. And Curse is doing it, Lovable's doing it. Like all these companies, it's insane.
Because they provide value. If you provide value, now like it scales almost instantly.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
ChatGPT, when people are like, "Oh my God, is this a Turing test moment?" Like, and they were chatting, and they're like, "Oh, this is pretty close," and like, so people got excited. Yeah.
yeah. And I'm excited about what you guys are investing in. Could you talk a bit more about what fun tech means to you?
Funtech is it's my partner Charles who coined it. Uh, there's fintech and funtech is catchy, so we use it. So we used to say like entertainment tech, but I prefer funtech. I think it's more catchy. So it's we don't do pure content play. So if you just do content like just a game, we don't do that. But if there's a UGC in it, if it's a platform play a bit like Roblox, or you use Gen AI to make it easier to create assets and things like that for the user to express their creativity, then that's something we're interested. We can do music tech, sports, uh, entertainment, fan engagement, anything that, like, one of the reasons I like fun tech is because I like cutting edge technology, and new technologies that either go in military or in entertainment. So both now are very popular. Uh, Defense tech and fun tech are killing it. But yeah, I prefer fun. Yeah.
Yeah, fun tech is amazing. I mean, honestly, if it was me, I would not want to hear like entertainment tech. I want to hear fun tech. And it's these, great terms and fun terms that really just makes it sound like, hey, Triptych is actually looking for creative people, people who are really on the edge of evolution, people who will make the world evolve and scaled. So then, other people can live better lives. And you're doing that by making sure that the companies that you mentor, if they ask for your advice, and making sure that they don't go into those target ideas. So I personally have an idea, something that I wrote on my college essay a while back. And is it possible
Yeah.
that if our brains could process visual info faster, like some animals do, then in a high frame rate VR environment, we could actually live in VR world at 2x speed compared to 1x speed in real life, kind of like a time dilation thing. Is that possible?
That's an interesting concept. I mean, I watch most of my podcast or whatever at 1.25x, because at least like it's like someone talking super fast, but the sound is not compressed, so it doesn't sound like a chipmunks. So 1.25 is kind of good. 2x, that would be interesting. Um, probably like if there's no sound. uh, but yeah, for maybe accelerating, because I think like the brain has evolved in spatial 3D, so it's optimized to learn in 3D. Uh, so right now we use like text because it's easy to propagate and you can do it on any device and things like that. But I think the real opportunity is to learn in a spatial way with like tailored content to you, and maybe that content would be accelerated at 2x. That I think, yeah, that's an interesting thing. Like, in sports, sometimes they say like, uh, I'll go back to hockey because hockey is my first sport. You practice with a puck that's very heavy, because like you'll build strength with that puck, and then once you do it with a normal puck, it's so easy. So I think, yeah, maybe you could practice at 2x and you become very good at 2x. So in real life, when it's 1x, you're killing it?
Yeah, and that's the craziest thing because there's so much possibilities in this world, and it's like you would never know anything that would even exist. Like back then, people thought ChatGPT was crazy. People when it was like websites age, people thought .com was crazy. Like everything that was thought to be impossible is now possible. So it's like for entrepreneurs who are really thinking of the future, like whatever they really dream of, they could do. And right now you guys have invested in some companies. I know that some does spatial as well, which
Yeah.
is why you kind of mentioned that. And yeah, spatial is really freaking important because back to what my idea is, if you actually increase the frame rates, you also need like processing power of your brain, but you also need the world to actually work the way it should be. And a lot of that is also spatial. Um, so looking at trends in the future, what do you think a trend that is being missed or something that is overlooked?
Hmm. I would say overlook, but I think people underestimate how fast the rate of change is. So right now, um, I see robotics exploding, um, especially in China. They're really kicking everyone's ass. Uh, and at CES, I was expecting to see a lot of robots. I saw a few, but not that many. I was like, okay. I thought it would be all over. And then I went at GTC like 3 weeks ago, and now there was robots everywhere. I was like, okay. So GTC was really on target. Um, and I think like that, robotics, especially with reinforcement learning, will get so good so fast, and it will disrupt a lot of things. So there's a lot of with tariffs, they say they want to bring back manufacturing in the U.S., and I think it will go through robotics. It, it, like also in China, why they're like investing so much in robotics is because their workforce is getting older. With the one child policy, they see like it's gonna be a challenge. So now they're all in robotics, and so I think in 10 years the world will be like 100 times more different. It's not just like things are on a rapid curve of acceleration. So I think it's going to be a crazy 10 years. Uh, it's going to be exciting and frightening at the same time. Um, but I'm glad I'm in VC because I'll be able to be part of that revolution.
And you're also someone who is great at bringing the community together to make a great impact. You also wrote a petition for the Metaverse Manifesto. Could you talk a bit more about
Yeah.
that?
One of the reason I got into VC also is I think we have so much potential in Quebec. We have great engineers, great creative people, great universities, um, but we're risk averse. It's a risk averse culture, uh, and um, we tend to do services companies instead, like for example, lots of gaming studios, but usually it's IP owner in the US. They say, "Do you want to do this game for us?" And we do it, and we do amazing games. But then all the profits go back in the US. Need to collectively uh, bring back, bring together our best minds and create uh, a future where, like you said, everyone can be part of it. The Metaverse Manifesto was more about like, let's create an inclusive place where, like, because I think like after the singularity, uh, we'll probably live half of our life in virtual reality. I think uh, we'll still be in the physical world for sure. I like my best experiences are in the real world, but I think like we'll be able to be in creative worlds that will be amazing, and we'll be able to do whatever we want with our friends. Also, it won't be isolating. It's just like, oh, I always wish I was in Hawaii, or oh, there's the latest White Lotus season. Let's go in White Lotus, and like hang out with, like, everything's gonna be possible. Like, I'm a big fan also of the Matrix, so I could be in the Matrix world, or I could be in Star Wars universe. I think it's gonna be amazing. But a bit like AI, we want everyone to have access to it. That I think that's why, like, um, it was called Open AI. Even though now it's not open source, but I think now with the pressure from DeepSeek and other models, they're gonna make an open source model, which I think is great. Uh, but yeah, I think it was a bit the same thing. Is like, how can we create maybe an open source metaverse? Um, so that was the goal of the manifesto. Yeah.
And I really, really love this petition that you guys have because, you know, lots of people, there's so much talent in Canada. There's UBC, there's Steve Mon, and there's tons and tons of great people who really are the pioneers of VR, AR, XR. And it's like, how do we bring those people together? And, you and a couple of your colleagues really found a way to do that. Is the petition still open? I know I signed.
Yeah, yeah. It was on change.org. Um, I think it's metaquebec.org, or I think if you go on my LinkedIn, you have a link, and if you go on X, you also have a link. Um, but I think it's written in French, but now you can translate easily.
For our audience, I'll definitely put that link in the description. The craziest thing is that, the VR industry really hasn't been a thing until Oculus has pioneered,
Hmm.
until Oculus has actually gotten, the bag after they sold it. So from an investment for professional, because it's relatively new and you're kind of doing fun tech, what does your day kind of look like?
Maybe I can tell you my week. So usually on Monday, we have partners meeting. where we review the last week deal flow. So like if there's because we divide and conquer. So um, like I did a few posts lately on LinkedIn that went viral. So I got a lot of inbound. So lots of deal flow lately. Um, and then usually the best deal flow also are from other founders. So let's say you're you're enjoyed by a founder, then he will say uh, to his crazy founder from another startup, you need to talk to Triptyq because they're great. Um, and then what else? Um, I tried to have a um, no meeting day on Wednesday, and that's when I geek out. Usually I try new LLM models or uh, anything of interest just to get my hands dirty and try new technology. Um, could be also demos. I have early access because of my background in XR, so I have early access to really cool demos on the Vision Pro on the Quest. So usually I do that on Wednesday. Um, I try to do a few lunches also um, with other entrepreneurs or other VCs during the week. Um, yeah, and then on Friday we have another meeting with my partners, more about operations, like running the business and things like that. So yeah, that's pretty much my week.
Yeah, that sounds really fun. And you are always being hands-on. You keep up to the trends just to make sure that you haven't lost that touch. And obviously, you're talking to so much founders already. So you are already gaining knowledge at such a fast pace that it's like you are the first line of defense for, Triptych.
Well, mostly on the tech side. First line of defense is definitely like Raf and Sean, who really takes like most of the calls, which is normal. So like usually the process at uh, at a VC, and most of them, you'll get the first calls with an analyst or an associate, and then they have to do a triage of like which partner is best suited for the second meeting, So usually you get the first meeting uh, with a principal or uh, an associate or an analyst, and then the second meeting will be with a partner. Uh, and usually we try on the second meeting to say go no go because we know that the founders are they like when you're clear, and if it's a no go, we really try to give constructive feedback. Most of the VCs will say, "Oh, it's too early for us," or we'll try to keep the door open um, because they're afraid to lose a good deal. Um, but us, it's like we try to say, look, this is the reason we're passing. It's not maybe if you fix that, we can reevaluate, but at least like they because like I got told no 200 times, by VCs at Ravana. So I saw all the excuses. And I'm like, ooh, I don't want to be that guy. So I try to be as to give a constructive feedback. Sometimes people don't like it, uh, but most of the time they do. They appreciate the honesty.
Yeah, I really do like that because you're really transparent in the way where most VCs would just like say, "Hey, we're not interested in this right now, but keep us updated." But then even though if you keep them updated, they already know deep down like, "Hey, are we even going to invest in these people?" Because it's these people, it's
Hmm.
not
Yeah.
like the idea. It's really the executioners who matters. So the way that you're so transparent because of your experience with VCs is just something that you're bringing change just by doing that. And more VCs who wants to be cool VCs like you in the future, they watch this or they interact with you and they're like, okay, yeah, maybe we should really be transparent because these founders, maybe some would not appreciate it, and those would obviously not be the ones who will become great founders, but the ones that actually do means that they're willing to fail and learn, and those are the best founders, and those are the people that we want. And that is the greatest cycle of being a VC, is helping those people.
Yeah, I'll give you a very concrete example. A repeat founder that now is part of our portco. I said no to him like for 2 years. But I told him, I think it's too soon because I don't see an inflection point uh, in content creation. Um, so I was like, it's too niche. Like I like you, I like your expertise, but I think it's too niche. And then when they announced the new iPhones that could do spatial video, I said, okay, now it's time. Do me a demo of. I took a capture of a spatial video, and I said, if you can show this to me in a quest, I think I can present this to my team, and you'll have a shot to get funded. And he did, and it's going super well. It's called Cubic Space, and they have lots of traction right now. Yeah.
Yeah, and the things that, like, ideas that seems like it wasn't right fit for the time can become the right idea for like any given future. So it's like, you who is someone really deeply technical, you can spot those trends. And when you kind of tell the founders, the people that you think are great and can actually execute, such as the founder for Cubic, then yeah, once you tell them an idea, they execute, and then you present it to your team. It's like a process where they have to make sure they actually put in the work, and then you would.
Yeah, and you see if they're coachable. If they don't need to agree with me, but they need to tell me. Like if they don't agree, sure, but let's discuss.
Yes.
I've seen founders who they say yeah, and they don't do it, and I'm like, well, why? Like you said you would do it and you don't do it. Oh, I didn't want to argue. Like, but I'm like, well, then let's discuss. Like, because I feel like I'm trying to be helpful, and if you don't want my help, then like let's uh let's find another way. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like 90% of the people, when you kind of mentor them, they just let it go out one ear. And when that happens, it's like, I spent, so much of my valuable time just trying to mentor you. And
Sometimes it's an ego thing. A lot of founders, they if you look at Elon, if you look at Jobs, they had a fire inside, because they had traumas in their childhood, and they want to prove the world something. Um, and you need that fire as a like I have my traumas too, and it definitely helped me get through really hard times, um, to prove people wrong. So I get it. I get it that you need to be stubborn, but sometimes you need also a team to succeed. Uh, and sometimes you need to say, okay, like I appreciate you taking the time and trying to help me, and I'll let's do it together.
yeah, and I really like that you really understand like different people's perspectives. Like what you said, there's people who might be really stubborn because they have this fire inside them, and they're just like, you know, I might change, but only if I see it. Like only if I see it so deeply that I would change. But yeah, it's really about the right balance too. Because when you're listening to someone like Bertrand who has done it before, you wouldn't want to make the same mistakes that he have done. So then you want to become even more successful.
I went at CES, got great reception, and then tried to raise in Montreal, but people were like, "Oh, we don't think VR is going to be a thing." And I'm like, "Look, there's Oculus," and couldn't get funding. And then when Oculus got bought, for 3 billion, then I got funded, but I lost a year. So it's what I said earlier in the podcast is like, you need to do your seed before it explodes, so that if we would have done our seed in 2013, we would have raised our A in 2014 when Oculus got bought, another seed. And then because when I raised my seed in 14, and when I tried to raise my A in 15, 16, the problem was that every specialized VC in the space already did their A, and some of my competitors. So even though my product was better, they were like, "Oh, I just invested in your competitor. I'm sorry." Uh, so that's why I'm saying, like, I I think that that's one of the reason. Like, also, I'm excited about VCs. I want a bit like your children. You want them to be more successful than you. It's the same thing. Like, I want our Portco to be more successful than me. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's every parent's dream. On the topic of how fast AI is growing, how fast the business industry is growing, what are your thoughts on what is here to stay for the VC traditional model? Is there gonna be AI VCs, or what's that process gonna look like in the next 5, 10 years?
Yeah, I think that VC will be disrupted a big way. Uh, like you saw Cursor, um, they don't need to raise B, C, D, E, because they're already profitable. So I think, like, early stage VC will stay, but they will go for more deep tech hardware, things that have a bigger moat, um, because I think B2B SaaS will become commoditized pretty quickly. Um, SaaS in general, not just B2B, like any SaaS model, I think will be commoditized. So I think that um, you'll have to go for more like deep tech and crazy things and um, bigger play. But then you'll have the resources with AI to, like, with 10 people, create a unicorn. Um, so, and yeah, sure, AI. Like, I saw a VC that they do pre-seed checks just with an AI. There's still like the human touch. I think, like, I always say you need to go do a beer with someone at least once, because when you're pitching, it's kind of acting. But yeah, if you spend time like 2, 3 hours with someone, just like not even talking about the work, just like spending time, you'll have a better sense of the personality of the person, uh, and um, and see if it's a great fit. Yeah.
For our audience who is, they're mostly gonna be junior roles, is that gonna happen in the next 10 years that they might possibly get replaced? Because what you're kind of saying is, you know, um, as long as there's some human touch, then it's good.
hmm I think it's more, for example, like we're raising our fund too soon, um, and we were doing models like, oh, we might need 2 analysts and three this, and I think, like, the reality is that we'll keep the same team. It's just like uh, an analyst using deep research and AI will be able to do the same job as 2, 3 analysts. So I think it's more like Andreessen. I think they have what, like hundreds and hundreds of people. I think it will shrink down. It's not like jobs will disappear. It's more like you'll one person will have a much higher output, much higher output, and it's like a 10x engineer becomes a 100x engineer. So it just there's it's going to become much more flat organization, which I think is great. Like one of the big strength of Nvidia is very flat, even if they're a big company. Uh, and I think that and Facebook said like the middle managers are going away. So I think it's that. It's like you'll have like really high skilled people that leverage AI, and you need to build your skill set to be like there.
Yeah, for our audience, like Bertrand says, it's basically going to be junior VCs who knows how to leverage AI. That is a people that will be worth keeping. And for, our audience, start on that. Like this is the AI revolution right now, and everything is just evolving so fast. It's moving so fast. If you are the one who leverages it, regardless of whether whatever happens in the future, like you're gonna be valuable. You're just gonna be an asset. So I know you talked a bit about how to break into VC. For our viewers who needs an actionable plan to implement right away, what would be your recommended 6-month plan to fully break into VC?
The most valuable people are go-getters. So even for deal flow, like kudos to Sean or her team. Like I was at Speedrun like 2-3 weeks ago, and I watched all the pitches and everything, and then I texted the team, oh, this is interesting, and he did a reach out to all their interesting founders, and one of them um, answered, and then um, we exchange and everything, and now we're closing because of that. So we're gonna announce it soon. So very exciting opportunity. So I would say like you need to be at founders events. You need to uh, also like if you're an entrepreneur yourself, that will help. So you can have side projects, where you you also hustle and understand like the reality of entrepreneurs. Um, and then practice make perfect. So like maybe watch lots of pitch competitions, uh, like under try to see like if you can in the best deals see patterns, and then yeah, have fun with AI. So go on Grok, go on OpenAI, go on DeepSeek, try to uh, compare them. One of the things that really blew my mind was like when they announced O3, uh, I bought the $200 a month thing from OpenAI, and we were evaluating a startup in robotics, and I just like asked O3 mini high with deep research, like, can you do me a market analysis of this, that, blah, 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 VC style, like act as you're a VC. So I really prompted like, because you need to prime the pump with the right like mindset. So you start by saying, act like you're that kind of person. Um, do a market research on this. Um, then compare startup in that field, and write a memo, uh, that would explain why it's a good opportunity or not. And it blew my mind because like it researched for 7 minutes and then came out with a report, and I was like, wow, this is crazy. Like for $200 a month, like so yeah, like even if you're starting in VC, like if you can really um, leverage it in a way where uh, you don't go blindly with it, but um, and it will give the sources and everything, and you check the sources. I think you can really, really de-risk also the opportunity because data is knowledge. So the more data you have, um, I think you can better grasp if it's a blue or red ocean.
Let's wrap up by doing a few rapid fire questions. A few words or one sentence. Ready?
Ready?
What is the best book you've read recently?
It's more audiobooks. I've One I really enjoy is it's not related to VC, but Danger Zone. About like the possible hot take that will happen between China and the US, and we see it's happening right now. So yeah,
Yeah. If you could invest in any startup from the past, which one would it be?
like anyone,
Anyone.
Apple,
There you go. What is your favorite part of working in VC?
meeting founders.
And what is one place you would love to travel to around the world?
I'm a big fan of Japan, but I think like one play I saw a documentary lately, and one place I would love to go is Singapore. It looks like very high tech, and I'm very curious about that. Yeah.
Fun. That was amazing, Bertrand. For anyone listening who wants to learn more about you or your firm, what is the best place to reach you?
LinkedIn. I think I'm very present on LinkedIn. I answer to everyone. I accept most of the connection. Also, if you're credible, I'm also on X. So that's pretty much the best way to reach to me. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll drop the description of his LinkedIn and Twitter in the description. Out of everyone you know, who are two amazing VCs that you know and would recommend as future guests to our podcast?
I'm a big fan of Bitcraft and Multibart. Another person, Felix Hartman from Hartman Capital. I don't know if you know them, but he's great.
Yeah, they sound amazing. Thank you again, and thanks to everyone who's listening. Comment and question you want to hear from our next guest. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to press the subscribe button, like, and share with someone who's interested in getting into venture. We'll see you next time on Break into VC.
Thank you.